Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to DhanyDigs. Today I'm going to be diving into every single Marvel Legends Wolverine figure I can possibly find in my collection. But before I do that, look what came in today. This is from the line of 3D printed statues that McFarlane Toys has been pushing. And I just thought I'd start my review with this because I just find it really interesting what they've done, because they've taken comic covers and turned them into 3D printed works of art. And it's really cool for the most part, because you've got Wolverine in his legendary brown and yellow costume stepping out at you. It looks nice. I do wish that the colors were a little darker, but it looks like they've gone for like a pencil and ink comic kind of accuracy to this particular look. Now, before I start this review, it's going to be a long one, so you might want to, grab a drink, grab some snacks, and yeah, let's get right to it. So, I'll start off with what I consider possibly the weakest Wolverine variants in the line, and we will get through a lot of Wolverine variants, but over here I have the Weapon of Vengeance Strange Tales Marvel Legends Wolverine. So this is what the package looks like, and it's beautiful. It just came in today, and I'm so happy it's come in time for this review. But as you can see, beautiful packaging lately. Marvel Legends has been killing it, like with the backdrops and everything. You can see like green flames in the background. You could probably use those as backdrops of the figure, but let's unbox this bad boy and see what's going on. Wow, does that look sweet? Yeah, this is really hitting that geek spot for me. So I haven't really read this comic, but people have been telling me a lot about the Strange Tales Wolverine. Apparently he goes on a mission with Johnny Blaze, and he gets Ghost Rider's powers. So we get essentially a Ghost Rider Wolverine, and this figure has plenty of good articulation. I'm pretty sure even if you don't use this body for Wolverine, let me try something out over here. This is the Mothx head, and no surprise, pretty small head. I wouldn't have expected it, but you can kind of see how you could probably do a head swap over here. So even if you're not going to pick up this figure for the Ghost Rider Wolverine per se, you could probably do a lot of head swapping with this and turn it into your regular brown and yellow costume Wolverine. All you'd have to do is switch out these claws. I'm pretty sure, no, those seem to be molded on. Those aren't going to be coming off easily. And now that I have the downward facing incandescent lighting, you can really see how the flames on his brilliant metallic looking head and adamantium claws come to life and illuminate the figure. With the right kind of lighting, this figure just looks awesome. You could have poses with him lunging forward like that. Swivel looks great. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. I'm digging that. I'm really digging this Wolverine. Holy crap, are we getting a lot of great Wolverines this year or what? So I have done a quick head swap here with the Marvel Legends Astonishing X-Men Wolverine's head, albeit it's not the right head. It's a brighter shade of yellow. However, you can see what can be done with this Wolverine. It is possibly, in terms of the colors, the most perfect brown and yellow suited Wolverine costume out there, and a great alternative. I don't know whether you guys have seen the leaked images of the Secret Wars Wolverine. Should be right about there. But the colors look very washed out, and I'm not a huge fan of that look. So this, for me, is the definitive look. I would hold on to this body and just swap out heads. You can find plenty of heads on eBay and various other websites that you can swap out with this Wolverine. The other thing I want to mention about this Ghost Rider Wolverine is the articulation. Look at how far the hands bend out. Look at how crazy that is. And the head sits on this ball joint that allows for a slight upward motion when it comes to looking up in the air, which is really good. And you can sort of look down as well, pretty good. This is hitting all the right notes for me. And over here we have the Marvel Legends Deadpool Legacy Collection Wolverine, and the packaging on this is really nice actually. They could have been a little bit creative with the backdrop. It's just a dark red. Now this essentially should be considered a reissue because we got this around 4 years back, and I believe it was the Marvel Legends X-Men Origins Logan wave that rolled in, and we had a pretty similar body. The head sculpt has changed. Now here's why I can consider this a reissue. It's simply because they have improved on the head sculpt. I don't know whether you can see that, but that's a definite improvement over what we got last time. I love that head sculpt where he's like screaming in feral range and ready to lunge out at you. So nice. There's like a real, like with this Wolverine figure, there is an actual Hugh Jackman likeness. I didn't really like the head sculpts on the last one. And other things that stand out to me are the prominent emblem, gold emblem on his belt. Really cool looking. The colors are better. The detail is better. There are a couple of things that I missed out on. Like, you did get bone claws with the one they released 4 years back, and this one just doesn't have them. So you are being shorted out on accessories, but there's a lot more detail with this one. And I do believe the claws might have been a little bit better on the last one. There's not a lot of detail in terms of sculpted here, as you can see. And I was going to take this figure out of the package for you guys, but I've decided to just keep it, keep it mint on card. I don't think I need to open this one. I've already had this one. I've had this earlier in my collection, but you guys get the idea. It's just, it's pretty much a much better release than what we got 4 years back. Marvel Legends Wolverine from the hit Monkey series. With this new Marvel Legends line from Hasbro, we have got fairly nice packaging with some really nice artwork. So, front of the packaging, you have a really nice emblem of Wolverine flashing his claws. He looks like he's in Berserker Raid. And then you have a very nice little Wolverine stamp here. And there you have Wolverine looking like he's ready for action, claws all out. Flip this to the back of the packaging, and you have a great damn picture of Wolverine escaping the Sentinel. So let's unbox this thing and let's talk more about it. Ba-bam! Wow. Just wow. I can safely tell you guys, out of the packaging, this Wolverine looks absolutely fantastic. I think this is one of the best Wolverine molds I have seen in a very long time. And I can safely say, now that I've unboxed it, that this is probably one of the coolest Wolverine figures I have seen. I think this is a culmination of many failed attempts to do the three-clawed brawler, and they finally got it right. It's just about right. It's not too tall, it's not too short, it's not too scrawny, and it's definitely not too bulky. But this Wolverine is right on the mark, and I couldn't be any happier. Obviously, there are two variants. This is the X-Force variant. If you want to go and pick out yellow and blue variant, you can go ahead and do that, though I would not recommend it because the colors look a little wish-washy on that. I've personally checked it out in store, and you'd be very lucky to find yourself a yellow and blue variant that looks just as good as this does. There is another variant of this X-Force costume, and in order to have got that particular variant, you would have to have gone to Comic-Con to have got it because it was an SDCC exclusive. You get this nice matte black finish until you observe it a little close and realize that there are little washes of blue running throughout the costume that give it that matte black effect. Look different under different lighting. Now, right now, as you can see under this fluorescent lighting, it gives off that shimmer of blue, but I mean, that's only up close. But if you were to look at this far away, you'd get what looks like a matte black finish at least. A lot of nice detail in this Wolverine figure, as you can see. Oh man, the detail on the claws is just fabulous. Look at these Wolverine claws. They're just long. They have that nice metallic look. And finally,
Finally, they've got the claw spacing just right. Look at how well spaced these claws are, man. Do this, you can actually detach these claws. These claws are actually detachable. As for articulation, this thing has a lot of great articulation. The head seems to be on a nice little, well, it's a funny kind of joint because it's not really a ball joint like we've seen in the past. And even if it was, it would be hindered by this long neckline that you see here. So it only moves up and down quite a fair bit. Not a whole lot of articulation in the head, unfortunately, but there's a ball joint in the arm, which is hindered by his big upper body. And there's some nice arm swivel movement going on. There's a nice elbow joint. Quite a good amount of articulation in the hand, at least. So the wrist has a peg on it that allows it to move outwards and inwards. This thing has a lot of nice articulation in as far as the hand movement goes. It would have been nice to receive open hands without any claws, different hand molds. Nice articulation in the torso as well, that Marvel Legends torso that we're so fond of. It doesn't have ab crunching motion that DC Universe figures come with. Keeping in mind that it's Wolverine we're working with, we do want him to be posable in many different ways. So if you're crunching and going for that brawler-like pose, you can have him in that state. And if you want him jumping out like that into the camera, getting ready for some action with his torso moved slightly upwards, you can do that too. So lots of nice articulation in the waist as well. The bottom half of his body, the legs have a very nice ball joint that allows him to move his legs a complete 360. Got some nice thigh swivel movement right there. You've got some knee articulation right there. And we've got that popular ankle pivot that was popularized by Shardimus Prime. Now you're probably wondering, what are my other nitpicks in this figure? Frankly, I don't really have any real nitpicks on this figure. Okay, fine, maybe I wouldn't call it perfect. I would call it just right there below perfect, because I like everything about this. I love the sculpting on the biceps. I think it's just about right. Some people have complained that this Wolverine might be a little taller than they wanted it to be. And I don't have any problem with that, at least when I've tried standing him up next to all of the other Marvel Legends figures that I have. He seems to be very much in line. Sure, he's a little bit taller, but you have to keep in mind he's wearing those big X-Force boots, so he can't be as short as he usually is. Guys, as you can see, there's some very nice sculpting work done on the boots. You can see some little buckles in there, and there's a nice shiny glimmer. You can see how they've mixed in the paint right here on his thigh. Outer thigh, you have this silver, this glossy silver running through all the way there into the boot. And then you have a little bit of blue wash there on the front of his thigh. And then in his inner thigh, all the way down to his leg, you have that nice matte black kind of look. There's some very nice detail in the belt. As you can see, you've got a very nice X symbol that's very prominent, and they've made sure to double paint that logo in there just to make sure it doesn't wear off, which I think is great. And I want to talk a little bit about these back shoulder muscles and this pivoting motion you have going on in his back shoulder muscles that allow him to get that extra crunch and get those extra back muscles being dug into his body frame. I think that's great. It looks great on this figure. However you pose it, whether it's from the back or from the front, it's going to look amazing just because of the amount of detail they've paid to the musculature of the figure. And a little bit about the head. The head looks great. For once, we don't have Wolverine's black dotted eyes painted in there. We've got a nice dark red, like he means business. He's got that, you know, berserker rage kind of look to him. He's in here for business, man. This guy is mad and he's on a mission. Not only is his costume stealth, but you can see that look in his eyes, and it just gives this figure an entirely new persona compared to what we've been getting. I think there's a lot of nice work done here in the head sculpt. I really like this head sculpt. I like the grim look. He's a little tight-lipped here. He looks like he means business, and he's ready to brawl it out. So all in all, awesome work, Hasbro. I really like this figure. Right now we have a very interesting segment of this program. This is a comparison between the different kinds of Wolverines I've owned in the past. Now over here on my left is probably the oldest Wolverine I have in my collection. I don't really know much about him because I remember buying this loose in a toy store and it came with an interesting accessory. I don't really know what I'd call this Wolverine because it looks a lot like an anime or manga kind of a Wolverine, except it looks like it's been costume designed for a specific mission of some sort. The second Wolverine to the right is the astonishing X-Men Wolverine. It was my favorite Wolverine out of the pack until I got this one right here in the middle. Now, we obviously know this one right here is the X-Force variant of Wolverine, and the one to the right is also a favorite of mine until this second one came along. This one right here is the Days of Future Past Logan, and I think by today's standards, based on the new Logan movie that came out, this could also be Old Man Logan because he does have streaks of gray hair, portraying his older side. This version of Wolverine is what was portrayed in the comic books, and it's definitely an interesting Wolverine to have here in your collection. I'm happy with all these different Wolverines, and it's nice to see how far we've come since one of the first Wolverines I've owned. And this right here, I can't remember whether it was a 1992 or 1994 Wolverine, but this is the oldest Wolverine I definitely have in my collection. The X-Force Wolverine is arguably the tallest out of the bunch. Is that comic accurate? I don't know. I feel that this one right here is more comic accurate just because of how short it is. Because Wolverine was originally written in to be a pretty short brawler, a short, angry brawler. And eventually, as the comics have aged on, he's actually come up to almost the same height as Cyclops is, which I think is a little ridiculous. But what can I say? It's just the times. I think everybody wants taller heroes, taller James Bonds, taller heroes, and larger-than-life characters. And you can actually see the progression of that from this to all of the other Wolverines we're seeing. I've always felt that there was always something off when a Wolverine was too skinny, like he looks over here in his astonishing X-Men version. I felt this action figure was a little too skinny, and it was almost as skinny as this, except I feel that the legs on this one are way skinnier than the astonishing X-Men Wolverine. And over here, there's sort of a nice balance going on in terms of the body proportions. You have some nice big thighs over here in proportion to the upper body. Some say that the original Marvel Legends Wolverine that came out, the brown variant as well as the yellow and blue costume variant, were some of the best Wolverines out there. And I haven't actually owned one of those to agree or disagree with them, but based on what I already have, I would say that these two are my favorite Wolverines right now. I feel that this Wolverine is a little skinny. They could have made him a little, chunkier. They could have made him a little broad-shouldered. He doesn't really balance out as well as this either, It takes a while to get this to balance on almost anything because of how scrawny he is. This little thing here keeps slipping out on this one. I accidentally broke it while posing it. Oh, there it went again. So as you can probably tell, another little gripe I've had with Wolverines in the past is that their claws kept sticking together like this because of the shoddy craftsmanship on the claws. And I love how these are evenly spaced out, and probably one of the best claws you'll get on any Wolverine, which is why these have probably shut up in price. Usually I'd have to take a blow dryer and separate these apart, and I'm glad that is no longer the case because they've made the same mistake with this Wolverine as well, you see. The claws even though the claws are a little bit more spaced out on this one, they keep wanting to stick to each other, and I hate when that happens. I do love that you can see specks of hair here running down his hair that gives him a more grisly look compared to this Wolverine in the background. I think all of them have a certain amount of charm to them, and you can't go wrong with any one of these Wolverines. But right now, I'm gonna have to say the one at the back right there, the X-Force Wolverine, is probably my favorite Wolverine right now. This Wolverine is probably everything I wanted to have in a Wolverine figure and maybe some more. And I don't know whether it's just because it's taller and looks bigger and looks scarier, but it's a nice piece to have. I'm not gonna say it's it's a better Wolverine to have, and it's definitely something that you guys have to go and grab if you see it in your store. These things get sold out real quickly. If you guys see this in your store, go ahead and grab it.
And over here we have a release that I was super excited about when I saw the images and heard the announcements. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the astonishing X-Men Wolverine. And Marvel's been celebrating 85 years. So a lot of the figures that they have been pumping out have been absolute hits or misses. But in this case, this is an absolute hit. The package design, the art, everything screams, yeah, baby. So, let's get this out of the package and see how great it is. And here's the astonishing X-Men Wolverine out of the package. And in the words of Matthew McConaughey, alright, alright, alright.
Alright, alright, alright.
Whilst for some people this will be their favorite Marvel Legends Wolverine in their collection, I've seen a lot of reviews. A lot of collectors do believe this to be the definitive Marvel Legends Wolverine, and I like it. It's really nice, but there are some sour points. For one, the claws. Like, just unboxing these, like, these were so flimsy. Like, one of these actually fell out on me. But I think QC issues aside, I had to actually go and stick one of these in because they fell off. As you can see, they just detach real easy, but I guess, I don't know whether the team at Marvel Legends wanted collectors to actually mod these claws and buy some more realistic claws. I don't know, I just don't like the finish. They're very, very flimsy looking claws, but at the same time, I'm not going to complain because you can fan them out and you can sort of like have them in different claw poses, or you can just detach them and buy real adamantium looking claws. I don't know what design direction the team was going with that, but other than that, the bulk and weight of this figure really sell it. Look at that musculature right there. Ooh boy, he's packing some real wolf muscle. Even the back of the figure looks amazing. You can see how the stretched outfit over the back is enhancing the muscles, and that outfit just stretches over those back muscles. And those nice detail hairs on his arms are a yes, and a yes. And the sheer amount of accessories that they give you with this guy. So you have a masked head sculpt right there. You have two closed fists, and you have a pointing hand and a look out or let's have Adam lunging forward and grabbing something hand. This is great and always nice to see. I'm gonna swap out a few hands right here on cam. I'll even swap out the head sculpt because we need to see what this bad boy can do. I gotta say, very authoritative, very Scott Summers. I guess if he ever was leading the X-Men team, this is the pose you'd need to hit. That being said, I don't think this is my favorite Marvel Legends Wolverine, sadly. I really want to like this because of the heft, you know, the body, the musculature. This does do a lot of things right for me in terms of a Wolverine, but the thing that sucks is this. Look, claws are flimsy. Those can be replaced, though I should be complaining about them. See, I really want to like it, but you can't really crouch down and get him into his berserker mode rage. There is no ab crunch. It just sits on this weird swivel joint. So it isn't really a love for too much of a crunching pose, and oh my god, that neck peg is awful. Because when the head sits on it, it can't even look up or really down that much. Very restrictive in terms of articulation, but if you just want to pose this guy, you know, in a very vanilla pose, this figure looks amazing. It looks like a Marvel Select figure. But is it going to be my definitive Wolverine figure? No, absolutely not. No way in hell. Don't get me wrong, I love it because of how different it looks compared to all the other Marvel Legends figures out there, but for a guy that's supposed to be kind of a midget, this is a pretty tall and big figure. We've even got the Strange Tales one over here, and you can see the difference. Now, I thought this was a pretty tall Wolverine figure on its own, but look at how tall the astonishing... Sorry, I gotta make them stand. There we go. Got their feet slightly apart. But yeah, you can definitely see how tall and imposing the astonishing X-Men Wolverine looks compared to the Strange Tales Wolverine. This is probably one of the biggest Wolverine figures we've got, probably on par with Sabretooth. I do like it, just not my favorite. Dun, 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 dun. It is time for the Mac Daddy of all Wolverines. It's none other than the Mezco 112 Wolverine. Boy, oh boy, does this Wolverine have a lot going for it. And that is not an understatement. But before I do that, I just want to take a quick minute to appreciate the package design on this. Wow. I'm not exaggerating. This is just simply awesome. Yeah, I'm just gonna let the package do the talking. It is beautiful. So this should come as no surprise, but the accessories you get with this Wolverine are exhaustive in supply. There's slash effects, there's so many different head sculpts. You have every single adamantium claw look you could possibly want in a Wolverine, including bone claws. And if you thought that wasn't enough, this amazing Sentinel stand. Yeah, Mezco really gone over and beyond with this one. It is a magnificent piece of art. You can also mess with different looks, like this really cool classic tiger stripe outfit that Wolverine had when he battled the Hulk in the comics. And the unmasked head sculpts that they give you with this Wolverine look pretty cool. I mean, check that out. Doesn't that look rad? With the cowl draped around the back of his neck. And that additional X-Men stand is just the cherry on the top. Now let's talk about what I don't like about the figure. Look at this flimsy peg on his wrist joint. It looks horrible, first off, and I'm always scared I'm going to break something. And then we have the neck peg, which is worse. Articulation is probably the worst I've seen on any figure. You're always going to be afraid of tearing the fabric when you try and bend at the abs. And then there's this other problem that you have to deal with. Getting the slash effects on the claws. What a nightmare. It took me a good few attempts to carry this off because I kept putting the slash effects on the wrong way before I realized it was supposed to be upside down. But once you do get them right, you're able to produce these amazing looks that just make the figure stand out in dynamic poses. And last but not least, we have the Moth-X Wolverine. I always save the best for last. This guy is just simply amazing. I've got him in a pose where he's lunging in the air, ready to attack his opponents. And wow, look at that beautifully painted hair across his hands. That is lovely. The finish is amazing. The head sculpt isn't my favorite, but it does look like a comic accurate head sculpt. Keep in mind that the figure I'm reviewing today is actually a re-release. The first batch sold out and became incredibly expensive to the point that demand for this figure was overwhelming. They had to do a reissue. The fans wanted it. And I do hope they do this for the entire X-Men line, because it would be a shame for them to just stop at this Wolverine. So what I like about this Wolverine, and I'm going to demonstrate this on camera for you guys, is I can get him into any pose my heart desires. You've got a favorite comic book pose, you've seen something on TV from the new X-Men 97 animated cartoon or from a comic book, you can just go ahead and pose him as you would. Let's have a look at poses we can do for this Wolverine. Yeah, let's do something simple like that. I think this would be an interesting pose to recreate for the video. Yep, slightly challenging, but I'd like to think I nailed it somewhat. Probably have to tilt him at an angle to get this one right. I think you guys are getting the picture, aren't you? For me personally, this is the Wolverine I grew up with, and this is the Wolverine I should have gotten a long time ago. Growing up, we all wanted a comic-accurate and cartoon-accurate Wolverine. The only thing that saddens me about this one is the tiger stripes are actually a metallic blue finish, which does look good, but I would have enjoyed it if they had used a black finish instead, or more of a metallic black. But I'll settle for that. But for me, the buck stops here. This Wolverine has everything I want to see in a Wolverine figure. I wish they'd given us more accessories, but honestly, with this kind of articulation, I'm not going to say too much. This just does it for me. All of the Wolverines I have reviewed will have their own appeal depending on the collector's needs. And I know a lot of you are probably into figure photography, stop motion videos, and creating mini movies, whilst the rest of you just love these Wolverines for how they look in your collection or just want an excuse to play with them. I know I probably missed a couple of Wolverines that might have been your favorites, like the X-Men 97 Wolverine, which is a hobby collector's favorite at the moment, but the prices were insane when they came out. And even though I did manage to get pre-orders off the figure on Target's website, I'll probably only see the figures sometime next year when they get their re-release. With that being said, I do think I managed to cover quite a few interesting Wolverines today, and they all have a special place in my collection. I love them all. But I want to hear what your favorite Wolverine is and why it's your favorite. So let me know down in the comments. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video, and I will see you in the next one, guys. And for the record, ouch. Hey, what's up, guys?